he has incredible longevity though. Him and Stockton had
Hmm.
incredible long
Hmm.
like, and that's why like I don't think anyone's gonna beat like Stockton is the amount of assists he had, the longevity him and Malone had together. I think out of any two
Right.
teammates, I don't think anyone has as long longevity, right? Out of those two, and that's
Hmm. Hmm.
25 points a game, eight for like what 18 seasons, 19 seasons. Like John Stockton is like what 10.5 assists a game for like 18, 19 seasons. Yeah, I don't think that's can never duplicate it again.
Stockton's a really nice player. I like Stockton a lot before. He's a pretty tough player as well.
He's much tougher than most. I actually have him above Isaiah Thomas. A lot of people find this unpopular. Like Isaiah
Mm.
Thomas, but the thing is about Isaiah has a lot of intangibles. He's a great
Hmm.
leader, but I find that first of all, he's not a good
Hmm.
shooter. Stockton was a better shooter than Isaiah. He doesn't
Hmm.
have as good defense as the rest of his teammates had. He played with a really good team. He had Dumars, Joe Dumars, Dennis
Hmm.
Rodman, uh, Rick Mahorn, Bill Lambier, Benny Johnson. Those are all Mark
Hmm.
McGuire. You know, those are all incredible players, right?
Yep.
He had a really good. He was the leader of
Yep.
a very good team, obviously, Bad Boy Pistons. I don't plus him as
Yep.
high as Stockton because, first of all, I think Stockton was a better shooter and a better defender. I just don't think Stockton has as good of a team, even though he had Karl Malone. But what else, other than
Mhm.
Karl Malone, who else did he have? Right.
I'm not too sure if Stockton was a better defender than Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was a really, really good one-on-one defender. Isaiah Thomas was actually a pit bull on defense. Him and Joe Dumars, these guys, yeah, absolute pit bull. The way Isaiah Thomas plays, I think depends. If you want to say I really like both of these players. Well, obviously for me, being a fan of the Chicago Bulls, uh, I was never a big fan of the Pistons back in the day. So it's kind of tough for me to say this, but I think Isaiah is a very good player.
Interesting.
He's one of the best
I
point
don't know.
guards
He
I've ever seen.
is. The
Um,
thing is, like, yeah.
I agree with shooting though. I agree with the shooting. Yeah, I agree with the shooting. I think Isaiah is how can I say it? Isaiah is not the shooter that John Stockton is. But at the same time, Isaiah is better at actually taking it to the paint and actually finishing down low against
Hmm.
big men. That's something that's really amazing that Isaiah is really, really good at. You wouldn't actually think that he's the most athletic guy, but he's actually sometimes he can shock you once in a while with a sudden jump, a sudden hop, where he can just get into the paint and just split defenders in the air and then just double
Yeah.
clutch it among the defenders and still lay it up. Especially during clutch time. Both Stockton and Isaiah are both clutch
Yeah.
players. Stockton is the better shooter, and I would say Stockton might be a slightly better passer than Isaiah. Defensively, I actually might say one-on-one defense. Stockton gets a lot of steals,
That's.
but
I
Isaiah.
mean, it's interesting about the defense because Isaiah doesn't have
Mhm.
any all defensive selections. Stockton's five,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
he's also the
Mm.
all-time leader in steals. So that's why
Mhm.
I kind
Mhm.
of put it higher. But
Yeah, Stockton has a lot of
I'm
steals.
interested to hear why you think they're equal in defense, though.
The reason being is because defensively, we can't just look at the
Yeah.
stats sometimes. Like, we can't just look at the blocks or the steals, especially steals. Steals are very deceiving sometimes, even more so than blocks. Because when you look at stats, some players, when they're just so focused on just getting the steal stats, they might be gambling too much. For example, they might be trying to pick off the passing lanes, but they're not playing good defense on their own guy because they're trying to anticipate the passing lanes a little bit too much. It's good to anticipate the passing lanes, but sometimes when you're actually gambling a little bit too much on defense where you're actually just trying to get that stat, but then the guy just blows by you because you went for the steal. You're trying to reach for the ball. You reach, I teach, right? Like, so if sometimes you're just trying to get the steal, you're reaching for it, and the guy just crosses you over and just drives in. And then so for every steal sometimes these guys get, if they're just looking to get a stat steal, they're losing their defensive positioning just to try to get that steal. So on paper, it looks like they're getting a lot of stats for steals. But if you actually watch the games, you would notice, wow, they're actually losing to defenders so many times just in order to get those stats for steals. So quite often, you can't really look at steals as an indicator. It definitely, I think the steal stats definitely is important, and it's definitely an accomplishment. But sometimes it's really important to watch the games and see what type of steals is this guy getting. Is he gambling too much on some of these steals? For example, when you watch the classic Chicago
Yeah.
Bulls play, like Jordan and Pippen, both of those guys were phenomenal in terms of the way they played. They would actually lead the league in steals many years, and they would get so many steals, but you would notice that they don't actually gamble that much on most of their steals. Their basketball IQ is so high defensively that it's very rare that MJ and Scotty would actually leave their defender loose to try to get a steal. So that's amazing. They can actually lock down their own guy and play perfect position defense, but they're still like getting so many steals. Not all players do
Yeah,
that. Now, I don't think Stockton actually gambles though. I think Stockton's steals are legit.
he doesn't
From what
seem
I
like
see,
a stat pattern at
he
all.
yeah, exactly. The way so this is so I'm not saying Stockton plays
Yeah,
like this. I mean Stockton's stats, his
yeah.
steals are legit. Like I don't see him actually lose defenders that much to try to get a steal. He's not that type of player. I think Stockton plays the right way on both ends of the floor.
He's a very
So
fundamental player.
definitely give him credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, give Stockton credit for the steals. So the thing I mentioned about the steals were some players actually they're letting they're losing the defensive assignments
see.
just to get the steal stat. Stockton's not one of them. However, my point is that there's still more to defense than just the stats too, because if you watch some the really good defenders play, some of the best one-on-one defenders might not always get that many steals. Some of the best one-on-one defenders play great position defense. Great defense is more about positioning and not letting your guys score instead of actually getting the steal sometimes. So some of the best defenders just make sure they're always staying in front of the defender, and the defender can't get past them, and that's oftentimes more important than getting the steal. And I think that's where I think Isiah is really good at. Isiah has really good because Isiah is naturally really quick. So Isiah's one-on-one defense and positioning defense is very good. So quite often, a lot of players have a tough time, I think, scoring on Isiah from what I can see. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily say Stockton's defense is better than Isiah's.
Cool.
Isiah's positioning defense is very good, especially on one-on-one. And now if we're trying to compare these two players, who's actually better? Well, hard to say. If you're talking about one-on-one, if it's one-on-one, Stockton and Isiah, one-on-one, Isiah would win. Yeah. And Isiah wins every time. If you actually see it head-to-head when they actually meet, especially after Dream Team, after Isiah got snubbed for the Dream Team, you would notice that Isiah, every time they met, he would actually make it a mission to really take out Stockton. And he would actually pretty much really take it to him. Really take it to him. So one-on-one, I would say Isiah does have the advantage over John Stockton. But in terms of just winning basketball as a team, well, hey, Isiah won 2 championships, right? It is true. He probably had the better team as well. He had a better team. They both had great coaches. Chuck Daly and Jerry Sloan are both phenomenal coaches. And Jerry Sloan, in my opinion, is also one of the greatest coaches of all time.
So is Chuck Daly, right?
Team, sure.
Chuck Daly's a great coach too.
Chuck Daly's a great coach, but I think Chuck Daly being as a great coach has more to do with him knowing how to manage his players.
Mm-hmm.
He just seems like the type of coach that's a good leader and knows how to lead his players, and he knows how to deal with egos. And
No
I think
question,
that's what Chuck
Isiah was
Daly
a
is
better
really good.
scorer. Assists, I mean, Stockton's one of the best assisters of all time, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I would say they're both really good floor generals. That's the thing. Like if it's actually a team game in terms of really keeping your team in the flow, Stockton's passing, everything is really great. His team game is great. Isiah though is just a pit bull, and he's really tough, and he's a great leader as well. Both of them are great leaders, but Isiah is the type of guy where like his team would follow him, to the championship, and he can actually score in the clutch. I think a lot more, and he can get his own shot off sometimes and take it to the paint when the team really needs it. So yeah. So no knock on both of them, but I think they both have their own merits, both of these players.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me about. I didn't realize because if you just look at the stats and everything, you wouldn't think that John Stockton was better, but it's actually not the case because there's a bunch of other intangibles you don't really see.